So in today's video, we are going to be looking at the plans for our parcel. Basically, everything that we are going to put on our parcel and where we are currently planning on putting it. However, this is just a rough outline for us. It could easily change. So this is just what we plan on doing for now. So basically what you are looking at now, I'm going to be looking off this way because I'm looking at what you're looking at. This is an outline of our property that we own. So it is 297 feet from front to back, and then 293 feet side to side. And then on the back of the property, we do have a 15 feet easement for utility purposes. You've seen in our previous videos where we have power poles that are in the back of our property. Basically, that's what the utility easement is for. And then as you're looking, these little gray bars that I put here is just marking the 20-foot mark, because any structures that we build, I think it's for just the main houses, I can't remember, but any house structures, yeah. So any house structures that we build have to be 20 feet from the property line. So those were just there so that we could make sure that we were within the correct scopes there. So yeah. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you where everything is going to be going. So first thing that we're going to start off with is our driveway down here. So this is the front corner of the property that you've seen us working in the most, where we were building our 24-foot section of the wall. And so this is our 44-foot driveway that is going to follow there. And then on the other end of the property, this is where we will be going next to build our 56-foot portion of the wall. This is going to be our second driveway. So our first driveway is 44 feet wide, and then it's 60 feet deep. And then the secondary driveway that we're building is 20 feet wide, and I think it's 140 feet deep. I don't really remember, but basically this driveway is going to take you all the way down to the guest house that we're going to be building. So right next to the driveway, we do plan on putting an RV pad there. So it is going to be a permanent pad for RV parking. When we get ready to move onto the property, we will be moving on in an RV first, as we are building our first house over there as well. So over on that side, we do plan on having RV hookups, running pipes to the septic tank, all that great stuff, so that we can comfortably live on that side of the property. And then right now, our RV pad, we are aiming for it to be 50 feet long and 20 feet wide. We may make it a little bit bigger. We do have a lot of space between the RV pad and the rest of the property, so that might end up changing later. So the next thing is our main house. So our main house is going to be going on, of course, our main driveway. Who would have thought? So with the main house, our main house is 114 feet long, and then it's 36 or 39 feet from front to back. And so with the main house, basically our garage section is 44 feet wide. It matches up with the driveway. So the rest of this section that you see is going to be the rest of our main house. The main house, we did already pick out plans for those. Eventually we will show you those in another video. But the main house is going to be a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a 3-car garage. And so with the main house, we do want to make sure that the kids have a nice gated in and safe space for them to play in. They are still very small, so this will be better for us to keep an eye on them, where we can all just be in that gated area. So we are going to be building a kids playground right on the back side of the house. In the playground, it's going to have pretty much all the typical stuff you would think of when you think of a kids playground. It's going to have a sandbox, maybe a little paved area, like a little racetrack where they can ride their bikes, scooters, all that great stuff. And then it will also have like a playground area where they can actually climb up on, you know, slides and ladders and all that great stuff. And then also on the side of the kids' playground area, this is where we are going to have our water tank at. So that's that little blue circle that you see. So one thing you might be thinking, especially once you see everything else start populating up on the map up here, is that how are you going to fill your water tank? Especially considering that it's only 20 to 24 feet on the side of the house, and then once we add everything else on the left side of the house. So basically our plan is that we're going to pretty much do all of our water hauling ourselves. So we're going to be backing our water trailer up into the garage, and then we're going to do either like a spout or a little trap door that will basically open up to the area that the water tank is in, so we can go ahead and unload all the water through there without having to, you know, run over all the beautiful plants that we plan on planting out there. So okay, next thing is going to be our guest house. Guest house, I forgot what the footage is, so when we show you our plans, I will go over the footage with you. But the guest house is going to be a 1-bedroom guest house, 1 bathroom. It is going to have its own water tank, as you can see here. We didn't want to have to worry about running the plumbing from the main water tank to the guest house, and then also have to share it between the main house, especially if we have guests over. So it's just easier where we could just have it on its own, where we can easily just fill it up when we have guests coming, and then just leave it empty when we don't have guests coming. So that's the reason for the secondary water tank on the back side of the guest house. And then one thing that was a must for us was making sure that we had an outdoor movie area. So that is what you can see here on the side of the guest house. So basically it's going to have a projector that drops down off the side of the guest house, and then we'll have a little nice seating area where we can enjoy outside time and watch great movies. Elijah wants a grilling area as well, so depending on how much space we take up for the movie area, we may extend that a little bit further back, just add a little grilling area with a table that we can grill at and eat at as well. So in addition to the movie area slash barbecue pit area, we are going to have a fire pit area. So the way that our main house is set up, this side over here is where our porch is, where you can, you know, set up chairs, all that great stuff. And so we thought it would be nice to have a fire pit right in the front. We chose to put it in the front just because we have so much space up there, and we have a lot of stuff going on in the back that we didn't want to have to worry about that. We plan on having animals back there, so it's probably better that we have it in the front. It's a little bit quieter, it's further away from the animals, so we get a little bit of peace when we want to light up the fire pit. So we are going to have a fire pit area there, and then it's not shown in the blueprint here, but of course we're going to have like a walkway with little pavers that can take you to the fire pit from the driveway over to the movie area, and then the kids playground as well, etc, etc, etc. So next over here at the end of our driveway, we are going to be building a workshop. This is pretty much going to be a workshop slash tool shed that will house anything that we're doing. When we need to cut any wood will be done over there. It will also hold feed for the animals, tools for gardening, all that great stuff. One thing that Elijah and I did discuss is that we wanted to make sure that he had a designated area for him, which is why we have a workshop and also a garage space. Elijah is very into cars and automotives. He likes working on them, he likes tinkering with them, taking them apart, using them together, all that great stuff. So we didn't want to mix the automotive part of our garage and then also add in tools for gardening, feed for animals, and all that stuff. We wanted to keep it definitely separate, so that we had 2 separate distinct spaces for him. So the main house is going to be all things cars. It will have a lift in there, all the tools that you can think of. That's where he can go and take apart a car, leave it for a couple months, and come back to it to reassemble it. So the workshop, it may end up being a little bit bigger. Right now we are thinking of having it about 10 feet by 12 feet. Anything that's under 200 square feet we don't have to get a permit for, so if we can keep it under 200 square feet we will, but if it doesn't make sense because it doesn't give us enough space, then of course we'll get a permit so that we can go larger so that it fits our needs. This will be the animal processing shed. So Pretty much we aren't fully set on the location of this yet. We have a lot of open space over there. So we figured that it might be good to do it in that area up there. Now the animal processing shed will not come until most likely after the guest house is finished building and we're living in there. So we're not worried about, you know, living in the RV and then living next to the processing shed right next to each other, because we won't be living there anymore by the time we get that up. But our thought process is that that side of the property is where it's a wash on the side. It is owned by somebody, but it's a wash area. So we figured that if anyone builds around us, that's the last place that they're going to build on. So it makes sense to do all the dirty work of processing our animals over there. So the next thing is going to be our septic. So the septic is not set in stone either. It all depends on our plans. We do know that we have to be a certain footage away from the house, which, trust me, that is more than enough footage away from the house, but we did want it to be in between the two houses because they both will be working off the same septic system there. So that may move around a little bit just depending on what our plans come back as. And then for the leach field also is not set in stone as well. That is all, once again, going to depend on how our plans come back, how long our leach field needs to be. But the area that we plan on mapping it out into is about 140 feet of leach field space. So it will give us a good amount of space there. And then it does seem like it's a little bit close to the house and to the kids' playground. However, the distance between the kids' playground and that is maybe like 15 feet possibly. Probably about 15 feet between the two. But if that area does not work out for a leach field, we can easily go ahead and move it into this back area here. It's not a big deal. So those are just possible locations. If we end up having to change either the septic or the leach field, the only thing that it will change on the property is where we plan on placing our animals. So it's an easy change if we need to make that. So the next thing, which was my must-have item, is my garden. The garden I want to be in this back area. One, because there is a wash that flows through here. So whatever water that is going to be flowing through the property is going to flow through this area the most. So I figured that would be great to have the garden over there. And then I do want to have an enclosed garden. So basically, put your posts up, have your beams going across, and then fully have it enclosed using, I think it's hardwire cloth, enclosing it using that. So then we don't have to worry about rodents, animals, pests, birds, or any of that getting to the plants and all that great stuff. And then one thing that we want to do is make sure that we are being efficient with our space as well. So we figured that it would be a great idea to go ahead and have our egg chickens in with the garden area. Now they will be in their own enclosed area within there where they have their coop, but it would be easy to go ahead and be able to release them into the garden to help turn some soil, help fertilize, help remove bugs, all that great stuff as well. So they will be able to have not only free range inside of their chicken coop gated area, but also free range in the garden when we're ready to release them out into that area. So one thing I do have a question for is that if any of you are watching and you allow your chickens to free range in your garden area, how does that work for you? Because I have heard that sometimes the chickens like to eat everything, but there's also great benefits for them too. So if you do have them in there, how do you keep them from eating all your plants? And yeah, and basically how it works for you, because I would be very interested in knowing that before we decide to go with that plan. And then the very last thing would be our animal area. So our animals are going to go up in this right area of the property. We're planning on doing cows. I mainly want one cow and possibly a little calf. They will end up living in with our meat chickens. I have also heard that chickens and cows do very well with each other. They complement each other. Basically, the eco factor of them, they help each other out. So I think it was something like the chickens eat like the bugs that are inside the manure of the cows, and then it all just recycles into one big thing. So I figured why not go ahead and throw the cows in with the meat chickens, and of course the meat chickens will have like a little run of the area that they are nice and safe in as well. And then over here, these 6 little slots are all going to be individually gated off. So this is going to be our rotational grazing area. We have to go out and measure to figure out the exact footage that we'll end up with for the rotational grazing area, but we're still deciding on what type of animals that we want. We know for sure that we want pigs, but we aren't sure if we want like quail or Cornish hens or, I don't know, a turkey, goats. We are still deciding that factor on what we want, but the animals that we do put in here, we plan on only doing 2 kinds of animals. So maybe pigs and goats, or pigs and quail, or we for sure want pigs. But as you can see, we do have 6 individually fenced areas. However, we only plan on having the animals in 2 to 3 of them at a time so that they can graze in that area. So then there will basically be little gates in between here and going across where we can open the gate, push them into the next area, and then the area will be nice and fertilized where we can go ahead and collect the fertilizer for the garden, and then we can also turn around and plant a cover crop on there to get them ready to re-graze back into that area. Second question for you guys: if anyone practices rotational grazing for their animals, please leave us a comment down below so you can tell us how it works for you. And if you have any tips or tricks for that. We are a far way away from there, but I think as soon as we actually move onto the property, as we're building the guest house, we're probably going to start building out the pens for the animals and start getting some animals on the land as well. So yeah. So that's pretty much everything that we want on our homestead. All this open space that you see left here, we're going to be doing some research to figure out what type of plants we want to put there. I'm thinking of spreading out some fruit trees in the area, and then figuring out any other plants that we can get that would help us green our area with minimal water. So that is all that I have for you guys today, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I hope that you enjoy our homestead plans. We thank you guys for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.